We are off the ship now and we have arrived at Livorno, which is for Pisa and Florence, and today we are on our way to Florence. Let Florence begin. We have just, oh hello. We have just caught the bus, which was $15 from Livorno Central to the train station, and then we're going to catch the train to Florence. And there is a store outside in the train station which sells the weirdest rubbish I've ever seen. Now, are you ready for this? Okay, because I think this is a proper convenience store. Right, look. So, if you ever need to volumise your hair, use a dog muzzle. Also, if you ever want a hot glue gun, a flashlight and a little electronic stove and a blender, that store is for you. So we're about to board this train. Say hello. There we go. We're about to board this train to get to Florence. And yeah, come along. We have got off the train at Florence and we have travelled around about a 5-10 minute walk to get to the Florence Cathedral, and we have just arrived and it is massive. Look at the size of that cathedral. It is absolutely beautiful. I think it's made of marble, as always, as everything in Rome is. Or everything in Italy, sorry, not Rome. But everything, look at it. Absolutely stunning. It really makes you put yourself into perspective of how big this is. I don't think I am as tall, and I'm very tall, as one of the single blocks in this church. Look at that. So it turns out that was the back of the cathedral, and I thought that was impressive. But look at the front of the cathedral. We were just walking down the street and there was an opening on the street, and we were like, what's that sculpture? And then we've just wandered around. There's a little courtyard here, there's no one in here, and there is a statue which I think is pretty cool. Not only is he slaying what appears to be a crocodile, but also that crocodile appears to be /bird, which is pretty impressive. And there's a bird on his head as well. Maybe he doesn't know it's there. But look at that. So again, we've just stumbled across this. I hope I don't get demonetized for this. But yeah, there's a penis. I said penis, that must be demonetized. But yeah, this is some form of cathedral or museum. Look at that, she's got a dignity still. This lady. But yeah, no, look at this. Now, I don't know who that guy is to him, but he must really trust him. And this is some other sculptures. These are just like amazing. Honestly, we actually found this by accident again. This must be some form of famous square. But look at the amount of people which are here. Of course, we are here during school holidays, so it's very busy. But yeah, look. Absolutely amazing, awesome. Obviously women could afford clothes back in the day, but men were not. And look at this guy. This guy is not only a man, but he's also a horse, which is, you know, definitely happened. He's menacing, look at it, he's looking at me, being like, don't you mess with this horseman. By the way, at the start of the vlog, I did forget to do a water reminder. So this is your water reminder. Make sure you drink at least 2.5 litres of water every single day. Probably not from him though. I forgot to film my lunch. I know, for this channel, lunch is definitely something which I should film. However, I did forget. So I had a tuna sandwich. That's pretty much what I had. And it was, honestly, the best tuna sandwich I probably have ever had, ever. And a little shot of espresso to go with it. I thought true Italian style. We are doing Venice on a budget.
Not Venice.
Oh, so we're not in Venice. Sorry, I'm doing Florence. I keep saying Venice. We're doing Venice, Florence. Thank you, on a budget. So we're just basically having a little wander around and seeing what we can see. We've been to a museum, which is the Galileo Museum, and unfortunately we couldn't film in there. But it is a really cool place if you like science and if you like the history of science. I mean, we saw things which were back from like 1540. Oh, we saw Galileo's finger. We saw his middle finger, we saw his index finger and his thumb. The actual ones. We weren't expecting to actually see Galileo in the Galileo Museum, but it was, you know, really cool. If you like looking at fingers and science, then I recommend it. So we're just wandering around Florence at the moment, and we've just stumbled across another one. So this is another chapel with some people just jumping about, and there just seems to be so many of them. So if you only have a day in Florence, which is what we do, I strongly recommend just wandering around and just looking at the beautiful sights and the beautiful buildings that are in Florence. Like this one, this is just a standard building, but look, it looks so Italian and it looks so Floridian. No, that's wrong, but it looks so Italian, and everything around here is just really nice. The people are really friendly, and I strongly recommend coming down and just wandering around the city. And if there is something that you really want to do, I'd recommend booking it in advance, because otherwise you will be in a long queue. Like the cathedral, which I showed you. Now, that was a massive cathedral, really massive. However, the queue to get into that casino, that's wrong, the cathedral, went all the way around. The end of the queue almost met the start of the queue. So honestly, try and book a skip the lines kind of ticket online before you come. Now look at that. So this you don't get in Britain. Ooh, let me have a look. There you go. That you don't get in Britain. And a garden on a rooftop. And I think I see grapes growing from it. You can't get that in Britain. Florence is definitely a lovely place. We'll be spending a couple more hours here, and then we will be heading back to the Norwegian Epic for a few drinks and some food. In Italy, I thought I would go for an ice cream, so I went full out. Sorry, my ice cream's melting. And I got this. Now, slight comparison to my head, this is pretty big. We're on our way back to the train station after Florence, so I will be back shortly after I've delivered. This is melting so quickly. After I've finished this ice cream. See you in a bit. We are back from a day in, where were we again? Florence! There you go, we weren't in Venice. We're back on the ship, we're back on the balcony, and look at the party that's going on down there. If you've ever been on a cruise, you'll know, but if you haven't, this is what awaits you when you get back on the cruise. You've got all of the crew lined up there, and then you've got all of the people coming in and getting on, and music, and they offer you a wet towel and a drink and everything. It is lovely. We're gonna, well, I'm gonna edit some videos now and then get them out, and then we're gonna go for a drink and get some food in a bit.